I know that you lived a major accident when
Yes.
you were working as safety manager.
Yes, I
of a
was
plant.
the director of health, environment, safety, security, and emergency response at a very large plant outside of Houston, Texas. And on February the 13th of 2004, I was just getting ready to go to sleep at my house. And I had my dog and myself. My husband wasn't there.
Okay.
And just as I started to lay my head on the pillow, boom.
You heard boom.
I felt boom. The whole house shook. Some pictures fell off the wall. I lived 2.5 miles away from the plant, and I was on 24-hour call because of my position. I picked up the phone and dialed in, and I couldn't get anyone to answer. It was a busy signal. So I called again, and after the second time I called, I knew that one of the plants had an explosion, and there was a good chance it was us because I couldn't get a hold of them. Just then I picked up the phone, and my emergency response manager said, "Louisa, it was us, and it's bad, and we can't find Sandy." She was one of the operators, and she had gone out to turn a valve on the reactor that exploded. And after the explosion, they were looking for her and they couldn't find her. So I lived very close to the plant. I picked up my to-go pack and put on my steel-toed boots and got my hard hat. And I went into the plant, and I could see flames, and I could see a lot of smoke. What I thought was smoke, it was actually steam.
Okay.
Because the reactor, what was burning was some hydrocarbons plus a lot of hydrogen. I got in there within 12 minutes. We started, they had already started the emergency procedures. The emergency system worked well. The emergency responders went out. And sometime later in the evening, Sandy came in through the door of the command center, and she was the operator that was missing. She was also an emergency responder, and she had gone to put her gear on so she could go back and take care of the fire. And I was very relieved and happy that she was okay. When it was the hydrogen fire we had to let burn, because if you put out a hydrogen fire and you still have fuel being released and it finds an ignition source, you can have another explosion. So 2 of our brave emergency responders went and shut off the hydrogen compressors.
Okay.
Then we were able to put the fires out and take care of everything. There were no fatalities that occurred, but if it had happened at 11:15 when the shifts were changing instead of 10:30 at night, we may have had a number of people that were crossing in front of where the debris went, and there could have been multiple fatalities. So it led us to put in more safety systems and to evaluate the safety systems of the entire process. And what had happened with Sandy is she was out there in front of the reactor to turn the valve. Someone called her on her radio and said, "It's someone's birthday. We have a cake. Can you come in and have a piece of cake?" And that saved her, because the valve where she was at was where the majority of the force came from.
Incredible.
And so we were so fortunate for that. But feeling that at my house and knowing what happened, my dog ran and hid between the washer and the dryer, and I couldn't get her out, so I had to leave her there while I went into the plant. And it was a very significant event in my life. and has just reinforced how important human life is and how connected we are all together.
It was a very impressive experience, no? Very
Absolutely.
shocking experience.
Yes. But we were trained well, and the emergency responders did what they were supposed to do, and the operators did what they were supposed to do. And that's why competency and culture are so important. Because when something happens, you have to depend that not only everyone understands that they're responsible for process safety, but that they're accountable for process safety and do what they need to do.
Okay, what did you learn? The big lesson learned personally for this situation?
I think the big lesson for me was when we do hazard evaluations and when we look at particularly instrumentation and valving for equipment, that we take into account the human factors portion of this and look where the operators will be standing, what's going on in the process when they're doing the operation, and we ended up automating that system so no one else would be in a position where they would be exposed like that. And the company that I worked for was excellent. They spent many, many millions of dollars to work on that and make sure that that wouldn't happen again.
Other challenges in your career, I imagine that situation was the most shocking and most difficult.
It was very personal for me.
I imagine.
We had another situation where there was a bomb scare on September 11th of 2001. There was a terrorist attack in the United States in New York. And so we all in the Houston area, which is largely industrial, went on high alert. And on October the 12th, someone thought they found a bomb in the plant. So we initiated the emergency response team. We looked in all the areas. That's where they had found this. And we ended up responding to that, and it was just a very significant impact for me. We had the bomb squad come in and look for it. And where it was located was on top of about 110,000 pounds of anhydrous ammonia. And if that would have been released, that could have gone out into the public for 25 to 30 miles and impacted people. So I think that CCPS puts our focus on prevention of the accidents, and there's mitigation as the other half, but we would prefer not to.
I imagine.